Yes, sir. We're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the Mezco Toyz 112 Collective Gambit figure review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey, I'm fucking with them. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about you.
And a real quick frontal view. Let's get this bad boy open and see what's what. Listen, if your video passes the 1 minute mark and you still on the box, I'm turning your shit off. Period. Alright, here we go. Remy Etienne Lebeau, aka Gambit, who first appeared in the Uncanny X-Men Annual, I believe number 14 in July of 1990, created by Chris Claremont and Jim Lee. This is our very first Gambit in the Mezco 112 Collective line, although they have been giving us a good amount of X-Men characters. We have quite a few Wolverine figures, 2 Cyclops figures, 2 Cable figures. We got Bishop on the way, we got Deadpool, so they've been kind of keeping in tune with us and knowing that people are really big fans of X-Men. And I'm not gonna hold you guys up. This is a beautifully crafted figure. They did a really nice job on the tailoring and some of the details here on his costume. I don't think they strayed too far away from his look in the comic books. You know, Mezco sometimes likes to take their own liberties, but they kind of stayed within bounds here in my opinion. I especially like what they did with his coat here. Obviously it is removable. We will get into that. And although his upper body armor or whatever the hell that is kind of hinders the articulation, it is still very nicely done. I'm looking at the side, or I was looking at the side when I first opened up the figure, and it looks like you may be able to crack it open and take it off, though. We'll see. I'll explore everything here throughout the review. So let's take a closer look at him or his deco and then get into the accessory. So like I said, they did a really good job here with the deco. I love the colors here in the upper torso. This sort of hot pink, it looks metallic, even down here to the lower legs, and this sort of like teal color on the boots. Again, I think it's pretty accurate to his comic book look. I really like how they did the inner portion on the lining of the jacket here. It's sort of like a different material, kind of looks like suede. Obviously the outside is supposed to be like a leather or pleather. It smells almost like leather actually. Maybe it is, who knows. But yeah, it was definitely a potent new figure smell taking them out of the package. You can bend down the collar here if you want, but I guess traditionally we saw him with his collar up most of the time. But a really good fit on the jacket. Everything seems to be working here. I guess if you wanted to take the belt out you could, but I like the way that it's hanging. There's an actual buckle on the belt there, and although I do think the face might be just a little soft, I do think it's a really good head sculpt. I like the hair, the way it flows, and I think that maybe they could have made his like mustache and beard just a little darker just to kind of bring out his features a bit more. You can see his eyes are like really squinted here. but I do think they did a good job on this head sculpt. I like it. And it should be noted that there is a thin line of bendy wire here in the jacket, so you can kind of get that flailing in the wind if you want to. So again, very good tailoring on the jacket. And a close look at the pants. You can see that design with those kind of purple cells down the side of the leg. A lot of different textures here on the pants. His legs are pretty free flowing. You can get the legs to kind of move around nicely, but again, it's just the upper torso that's a little shaky. You can see the X on the belt. They did a very good job on this deco. I got to give him props here. A few little strings and things I might need to burn off here. I don't really like the way they have this sort of flap or cuff on the sleeve, but I understand, you know, this might get snagged or something like that, so you definitely should be careful as far as that goes. But this is how he comes out of the package, with 2 fists attached. Looks like these standard Mezco wrist pegs, and then he's packed in with a set of open hands with the fingers spread, and you can clearly see his fingerless gloves here. I ain't gonna say nothing, but the design for his gloves are not really typical where every finger is out. It's just his pointer finger and his finger and his pinky finger, I guess. Yeah, pointer finger and pinky finger on both hands. But I think that was something that was really cool, that a lot of people felt that was really cool about Gambit. You know, he's a real cool character, but technically he's just a no-good thief. Really. They just romanticized the fact that he's like some cool thief. And then he's got a set of hands that are cupped and open, and these are soft and pliable, his fingers are. So you can actually get him to hold another one of his accessories, which is his staff. So I guess I'll break that out now. And here's a look at that. Pretty lightweight, but it is still sturdy. It's not gonna like snap easily or bend easily. But I think they could actually make this a little heavier. See how it looks when he holds it. So yeah, that looks pretty good. He can hold it with the right or the left hand or with both hands. And you basically just need to have him grip it in one of the bulkier sections of the staff. But I do like that. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I feel like they treated us with quite a few new parts here on Gambit. I was messing around with them in between this last take, and the ankle pivot, the lower feet, all of that stuff seems to be new. He's also packed in with a left hand that looks like it should be utilized to hold another one of his accessories, which are his cards. I'll break those out shortly, but you can see that the pointer finger and the thumb are almost touching, so it looks like you can just stick the cards right in between the pointer finger and the thumb. Let's see. So there's a little tiny clamshell with the cards. There's one card by itself, looks like it's the Ace of Hearts there, and then it looks like there's a little bundle of 5, and there's another Ace of Hearts on top there. Looks like a couple of face cards or something there. There we go. He's holding a single card. That looks good. If you saw my video a couple days back where I was looking at some props and accessories, you can see how much larger those other cards were that I got from my boy Ed in comparison to this one, which looks like it's properly scaled here, and no issue with him holding that. This is a very small, thin piece, so you should be careful with this too. You may lose it. And then there he is with the bundle, and you can finesse that however you see fit. You know, you could have them with the face of the card facing the opposite way and put it in between his fingers and play around with them. But if you don't know, Gambit is a mutant with the mutant ability to charge pretty much any item kinetically, except a person. He can only charge objects, if I'm not mistaken. So sometimes he'll charge the staff with kinetic energy, but one of the things he really likes to do is charge playing cards and then throw them and then kill people with little mini explosions, I guess. That's why you always see him packed in with cards. And you know, this is like one of those little props that I think a lot of us would appreciate if we just had a bunch of these as a prop. So you could do like card games and different things like that. You know, somebody should think about that, one of you prop makers out there. But with that said, he's also packed in with a left hand that looks as if he's throwing one of the cards here. So you can see it's charged with kinetic energy and it's kind of flowing off of his fingertip there. So that looks really cool. This will look really dope under the right lighting. Just kind of pushing him to the limits or seeing what the limits are here. But he's also packed in with a card that is charged but doesn't look like it's in motion or anything like that. So you can see that here in his right hand. Yeah, and that looks good. And you know, there's a lot of variation. You can do little subtle things like I did with his left hand and put it on his jacket lapel, and you know, a lot of nice little subtle vanilla posing that'll look good in pictures. A lot of options for still motion or for panels, being that you have the cards that are not charged and then the cards that are. And yeah, man, I like the playability with this. I like the variation for sure. Oh, and to be clear, the single card that's being thrown here with this left hand, the effect is fixed to the hand, so that's one piece. You're not going to separate the two. Same thing goes here with his final effect, which is a really large effect here to make it look like he's throwing 3 cards at once. And this is a left hand that's attached to the effect here. So I do think this looks very good. And being that they have the hands attached to the throwing effects here, it's not like you're going to really be able to utilize them with other figures unless you cut the hand out or you're able to heat it up and pop the hand out in some form of fashion. I wouldn't recommend that, but it is what it is. And that works. That looks good. Kind of get him not even looking. And then his final accessory is just an additional head sculpt with a slightly different facial expression. Not much variation. I guess Gambit is not one to be like screaming and yelling and what have you and kind of breaking that cool character. So he's just got a slight little smirk here. Probably one of my first gripes aside from the limited articulation in the upper torso. But I think that it should have been maybe a full-on smile or something, or maybe his eyes open just a little wider. It looks good. You know, it doesn't look any better or any worse than the previous version. I still do like it overall. I just kind of wish it was more of a sly, sort of sneaky, kind of charming grin. You know, that's part of his appeal, or part of his character too, is that he's a ladies' man and a charmer. And you know, this just looks a little kind of goofy, maybe. Not as goofy as some of those older Wolverine head sculpts for sure, but Mezco kind of struggles sometimes with the head sculpts. It's hit or miss, really. All right, let's get this jacket off and see what's going on under here. Okay, Mezco, I see you. That's pretty nice. So everything is through and through here. He doesn't look goofy without the jacket. Still got that right sort of build, the right stature for Gambit. You know, he's tall, he's slender, but he's still muscular, and he retains all the articulation under there. I might as well go over the articulation while I have the coat off, but everything looks very clean. I'm digging this. Definitely one of Mezco's better figures, and probably one of their best X-Men characters so far, if not the best. And just a quick look at the jacket. You can see how it's tailored, like double pleated or something like that. Got a little weight to it as well. Again, like I said, some different textures here on the inside. Very nicely stitched, very nicely put together here. If you finagle with it enough, you could kind of play around with it, kind of get strewn over his shoulder or something like that. Like I said, a lot of playability, a lot of posability with this guy. Fun factor is high, for sure. So Mezco might have blessed us with a new buck here. I'm not 100% sure, but the articulation here is very good. If you were able to get this chest plate off, or this upper torso piece off, I would assume he would be one of the better articulated figures here from Mezco. I don't think this is the Gomez buck though. But anyway, head is on a ball joint. Head and neck move separately from each other. So the neck can move and then the head can move on that ball joint as well. So you get a decent range of motion up, down, left, right, pivot. No issues with the head at all. Shoulders on a ball joint, you'll get that up pretty high. You can get that up and around pretty far before you start to stress the material of the shirt. There is a butterfly joint in there as well. You do get an upper bicep swivel. There is a double jointed elbow. There is a swivel and a hinge on the wrist. You can turn them at the waist. I assume the ab articulation and chest articulation is there. I mean, you could kind of finagle with it and move them down at the lower torso. I would assume there is a T-joint at the pelvis. So the legs do come up just about that far. You get a decent split, and you can get it pretty wide before you start to stress the pants there. Upper thigh swivel. You get a double jointed knee. And then you get a hinge on the foot, a very slight hinge, but you can rotate, and you do get a decent pivot as well. So that's what I was saying. I think the pivot is okay. I feel like it's better on this foot than the other one. Might have to break it in on the left foot, but decent articulation. I was looking here and trying to figure out if I could snap this loose. It kind of looks like one of the vests that have come on Punisher or something like that, but I tried to like pry it up right here and it didn't look proper. It looked like it was just the glue coming undone. So I don't know, you let me know. I haven't watched anybody else's review, so I'm not sure if anybody really tried to test it out or not, but this is a $90 $100 figure that's gonna be highly sought after, I'm sure. So I'm not gonna try to break this part off, but still decent articulation for a Mezco figure, no doubt about it. Alright, size comparison time. So these are the 3 Gambits that count. I don't know if any other company has done Gambit. I don't think so. So on the left is the Marvel Legends Gambit, which I was never really happy with. Shout out to my man Punker Mike. I was happy with his Kitbash sort of custom of this figure. I really wish the Legends version had the option to remove the coat and just have him in his like whatever that thing is, that corset piece or whatever it is. So that was my issue with the Legends version. Also, I didn't think the head sculpt was that great. That was another thing that Punker Mike had Kitbash. I'll put a link to his video below. I believe there's a lot of views already on that. But yeah, that's how the Legends version looks. And then on the right is the Revoltech version, which looks very weird and awkward and just a vanilla stance. As you guys know, Revoltech is really meant for posing, for really dynamic posing. But I gotta say, Mezco beats out the Legends and the Revoltech version for me. I mean, I do appreciate a lot of the posing and pictures and things that I see with the Revoltech version, but the colorway and the look and just the feel of the Mezco version is far superior to the other two, in my opinion. I think Mezco definitely has the other two companies beat. Legends is just okay. You know, it's okay if it's in aesthetically with other Marvel Legends, but for sure Mezco is the superior. And just a quick look at some of the variations and effects between them. On the left here is the effect that came with the Revoltech version next to the Mezco version. So you could probably mix and match this, even though the Revoltech version has a little peg on it. And then there's the Legends version, which obviously doesn't have that much detail, but it works for pictures. Again, any of these will look good under the right lighting. So and there's the Legends 3-card throwing effect in comparison to Mezco's here. But just for shits and giggles here, here's the Mezco head on the Marvel Legends body, which looks pretty good. I had to kind of force it on there. I wouldn't recommend that you do that, but if you heat it up, it can get on there. You can see it sits okay. It looks good. And one more here, and I'm gonna get up out of here. So on the left is the Mezcal Cyclops, and sort of the Mezco's style of Jim Lee, or what they want to pretend like is Jim Lee. I really hate this figure and this costume, so I've never been shy about saying how awful I think this figure looks. And then on the right is the Tiger Stripe Wolverine from Mezco as well, which is a figure I've said that I've kind of fell out of love with. I know this one is going for a lot on the secondary market, still pretty highly sought after by a lot of collectors, but this is how the beginning of a sort of Jim Lee style X-Men looks right now for Mezco. It looks okay. As you can see, Gambit is very tall, but I think he looks light years better than his other two teammates here. I don't even feel like he fits in aesthetically with these guys, but that's what we have here. Actually, I could do one more. There we go. I added the Marvel Legends, I'm sorry. I added the Mezco Cable on the left here, who is a bit on the small side. He should have been taller than Gambit. He's supposed to be like 6'7" or something like that. 6'6", 6'7", maybe even 6'8". I don't know. So Mezco's kind of all over the place as far as scale goes. And then right next to Gambit on his immediate left, going right, is the Marvel Legends Rogue. And shout out to Ryan Ting from Hasbro. I was speaking with him today in PM, and he was saying how it would be cool if they did a Rogue from Mezco. And yeah, it would, if they wouldn't try to put her on the Catwoman body or something like that. It would have to be a brand new, sort of really voluptuous, stacked kind of buck, no question about that. I would assume that she would be about this height, but again, just, you know, with some soft goods. Mezco did a really good job here with Gambit. I'd like to see where else they're going to take this in terms of X-Men characters. This is one that I would definitely recommend picking up. He is a very solid offering. So thanks for hanging out. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell down there, and until next time, peace.
That's crispy.